What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Joe Levy of AiLert. That is AI-LERT.com. Joe, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes people should check out of the podcast. Since this is part of the top leader series, the top Israeli leader series, some of the other ones in that realm, I had Moise Navon of Mobileye, one of the founding engineers there. Yuri Adoni was in Jerusalem Venture Partners for many years. Yossi Vardi, John Medved, Bring. I know you know people over at Bring, Joe, and many more. Moise Navon actually told the story of Mobileye. And, you know, if you don't know the story of Mobileye, they were acquired by Intel for $15.3 billion. But what struck me in the conversation was, the sacrifice. You know, at one point he had to go back to his wife and kids and tell them, listen, we are pulling you out of all extracurricular activities. There's no more eating out because there's ups and downs with startups, and it's not always up, and we don't always see the challenges behind the scenes. So it was just amazing to hear Moise share the story. That and many more on InspiredInsider.com. And this episode is brought to you by Rise25. At Rise25, we help businesses give to and connect to their Dream 100 relationships. How do we do that? We actually help you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do strategy, accountability, and the full execution. You know, Joe, we call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background to make sure it looks easy for the host and the company. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and company I most admire on this planet and share with the world what they're working on. So if you have questions, you can go to rise25.com to learn more, and you can email us at support@rise25.com. And without further ado, I'm excited to introduce Joe Levy. Talk about inspiring. This company will inspire you. It's inspired me. He went from being an Oscar nominee for motion picture editing to working at Apple as an image processing expert to helping make the first ever VR simulations for the military together with IBM Research. Now he has turned his talents to weapon detection. Thank God. Joe, you've done that. So AiLert, which is AI-lert.com, is helping keep communities safer. How are they doing that? You know, there's a rise in mass shootings, school shootings, wherever. It could be a jewelry store. It could be somewhere in the middle of town, and it can destroy lives, destroy communities. So what AiLert does is they help detect weapons using surveillance cameras and AI. They received a research grant from the European Research Council to deploy the latest AI technologies in order to detect weapons, even open spaces for smart cities. Joe, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Really glad, thrilled to be here, Jeremy. Shall I call you like Dr. Vice, Jeremy?
You say it so nicely, but Jeremy is good.
Jeremy.
Talk about, I mentioned the European Research Council and the grant. Just to start off, just talk about AiLert and what you do.
Yeah. So the grant first, because that happened before AiLert. We were born out of Tau Ventures, Tel Aviv University Accelerator in 2019. And this is where we got our first chance. And we had, at that time, the amazing opportunity to meet with a guy called Xavier Aubry from SaaS Ventures in Zurich and France. He's like one of the best grant writers in the world for innovation for the EIC Accelerator. He has a success, I think, of 90% of his submissions they accepted. And we spoke, and then he told me, hop on the plane, come to Zurich. I went to Zurich. We met at Starbucks. He told me, I got something for you. It's weapon detection. Actually, what you're doing for the city of Oslo and city of Padova. And we said, yeah, sure, of course. The partners we worked with on this project included many universities as well as Thales Defense, which is a large and prominent defense company in Europe. And we were able to deploy Samson, that's the name of our weapon detector. There you go. You see some images. That's in Oslo. That's in Italy. Why in Oslo? They had a crazy guy dressed up as a fake cop. One day, he decided to blow up a building in the center of Oslo, then went on to a shooting spree, killing 67 kids, 2 policemen, and wounded 200 people. And that was enough in Europe for them to say, we need weapon detection. And so Project Impetus really allowed us to work with the big boys. And when you do AI and video security, you're changing 3 things. Put the AI and the tech on the side for a sec. You have operations and you have ethics. So on the operations side, it's the same thing. You know, if you got a guy working at an alarm center for, let's say, 20 years, right? And one day you got some AIs chiming in, the guy's going to be pretty scared and pissed. So this is what we learned with Impetus, like to really work with the cops.
It challenges the job security for these people.
Exactly. Well, they're afraid of losing their job, which is absolutely not that. They don't have the time to watch all of the streams of the security cameras. And so it allowed us really, they kind of deep fried us in what can I say, like the court of the big boys. And after that, we really properly launched. We branded the company as AiLert. And there you go, Synedit. That's when we started on the bottom left. Well, the logos are changing right there. But those are the partners that you see. And after that, we've managed to raise our first few $100,000, then another $1 million last year. And what AiLert does today, it's an artificial intelligence, it's a SaaS that sits on the edge. We connect your security cameras, and if someone pulls out and is engaged with a gun, then we send a JPEG, we send a video file, and the GPS coordinates of the anomaly. We're super keen about data privacy. In Europe, data privacy is backed by GDPR and also the AI Act, which is still in legislation. Now, there's some things happening right now in Europe with the AI Act. If you have an AI company, there you go, some images of Oslo right there. If you have an AI company, it doesn't matter what you do. Security, medtech, fintech, if your AI generates an anomaly or an alert, it has to be validated by a human. That's number one. Now, if you do too many false alerts, you're out. If you do too many false negatives, like you don't detect the anomaly, you're also out. So there's a huge cleanup happening right now in Europe with that, which is great for us, which forced us to be the best at what we can do. And while we're the best, we have passion. My former boss, Mr. Edmond G. Safra, the banker, I was working for his security team. He got murdered in his panic room in Monaco. Liron, our head of AI, he was in the synagogue a few kilometers away from here, where there was a stabbing attack a few years ago. Some are 3D guys. One guy, he had his dad shot to death in front of him when he was a kid. So everyone is related to this murder thing and shooting thing. In our company, that's our team. If you go up, you have Nimrod, who's one of my best buddies. He's the first believer. He is like a machine. Nimrod is a senior partner in one of the best law firm in Israel, CEO at Conciliary, one of the top 5 in Israel. Just 3 weeks ago, he told me, I just closed a deal for $200 million, for an investment. And so he's really out there in the trenches with me. On the right, it's Karen Levy. That's my wife. She's on our board, and she is also an initial founder of the company. But it tends to be such a man world that she's like, you guys do your thing, and I'm just going to be here when you need me. Now, of course, Adam. I've known Adam for 12 years from Vistia. So Adam,
how'd you meet Adam? So Adam, that's originally actually how we met, which is I've been a big fan of Wistia for many, many years, and I knew Adam from the Wistia days, and I had the founder, one of the founders of Wistia on the podcast a long time ago.
We met Adam, like, I was using Vistia. I thought it was so cool, so nice. I just pinged him on LinkedIn. And since then, it's been 12 years or so, and we became friends. And he saw us grow from nothing to dream to wherever we are today with paying customers. And I asked him, Adam, would you like to join? And he said, of course, I'd love to join. And the rest is some of our team. Liron is one of our big AI guy on the bottom left. And I want to say one thing. You know, a lot of people say you need the top AI guy and you need like the PhD guys. And that's all bullshit for me. Because when Liron started, he was just a web designer and he was so hungry and so thirsty to learn AI. So I took the best AI guy from Motorola and he taught him everything like Obi-Wan, you know. And now Liron, he became a Jedi. And in Israel, a lot of top AI guys, they tell us he's one of the best for what he does. So we're very fortunate. And I'm saying this to always give a chance to people that are really hungry. It's much, much better than hiring people that have this knowledge and giving you like a crap attitude. Now, you see, this interview is going a little bit in a way that I want to say the truth tonight. I want to be honest. I'm not going to talk about it's all sunshines and rainbow at AiLert. It's a startup. We had to fight very hard in Israel for what we do. I haven't done the military in Israel. Originally, I'm Swiss, but I paid my duties. You know, I was beaten up when I was 9 years old by an old Nazi in Switzerland because my name was Levy. And so,
how old were you?
9.
Wow.
So I had my share of being a Jew, you know, what it means. And so today we're very fortunate to have launched AiLert, our weapon detector. And this...
Talk about some of the features, Joe, because you mentioned, you know, a couple things there I think are important to highlight, that it gives certain features. And, you know, I watched a couple of videos on your product and online. And if you look at the school shootings, you know, sometimes the law enforcement doesn't know what they're walking into, right? And so talk about some of the features of what's in AiLert that actually helps people.
The features is, it's pretty, you know, can I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to be sharing like a short video of actually just shootings. You see how we detect guns.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to share like the whole screen. Just have a look. It's like 30 seconds. So if I play just one or two things back right here, that's a gun being detected in a smart city. That's an amazing feature. You see, you get that. If you're part of the law enforcement team, you get a little clip like this that provides you the biometric data, what kind of weapon is carried, and who's being threatened, so that when you're called and you're being, as a responder, you're being deployed, if the guy has a little gun, you're like, you know, I'm going with my buddy, it's okay. But if the guy doesn't have a gun, but he has like an assault rifle, like you see here, you're not going to go there and respond alone. So what we provide, the unique feature we provide, is instant situational awareness, and it's blazing fast. Another thing that we've played with, that was the last shooting in Nashville a few months ago. We got our hand on the footage, we processed it, and right away we were able to detect the rifle. And when we process that, what happens is, if I may show it right there, You get the alert, and then I could go on my phone. Let's say if I'm a first responder, there you go. I'm a first responder, and I get all the pertinent data regarding the shooting. I get the GPS data. I get a JPEG, like right here. And the other very cool thing that we have, we provide our responders where it's happening using Google Street View. You even had the timer since the alert. So when you implement that at an alarm center, that changes the operation. It used to be in Oslo when they had the shooting that happened in 2011. People would call the police and say, I hear a shooting right there. Take the Uvalde shooting. When it happened, people were calling the cops using a phone. The closest police station is located 1.4 miles away from the school. And the shooter was walking outside the school for about 3 minutes, seen by the cameras, carrying an assault rifle, entering the school, seen by the camera, wandering around the hallway, going inside a classroom, and he emptied his magazine for about a minute. When the first responders arrived on site, they heard, yeah, there's a shooting, let's go. So they entered, but they were outgunned. They had their 9mm gun, and then they heard from the AR-15, and they had to come back. It took 374 policemen to neutralize this guy because they didn't have what we provide, instant situational awareness. Which leads me to a little thing I'd like to share to show you pretty much what this whole story, what this whole shebang is about with us. I just want to take you back for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, to an extreme event. The place is Paris Airport, and the date was March 17, 2015. A man, as you can see on this security camera, had stolen a gun from a security agent. And after a struggle of 30, 40 seconds, the shooter was neutralized and shot. And that's it. However, when you shoot inside the terminal of an airport, it becomes super loud and it created a lot of echo. And people started to panic. And that panic effect quickly spread out throughout the entire airport. As you can see on the tarmac here, people running because they saw people running. And at the alarm center, the control center, which is located a few miles away from the airport, they started to see people running on all of their screens. And the head of security entered and say, what's going on at Paris Airport? And at that moment, any human has that. They develop this, their brain triggers this physical emotion of fight or flight. And he created what we call tunnel vision. And he makes it even harder for the security video engineer to scan through all the screens. What happened was complete chaos. People even left the airport using open freeways. And it was a huge embarrassment for the airport management of Paris to the eyes of the French people. They had lost their prestige. Now, it also cost them $150 million. The closure of an airport of this size, the economic impact is $300 million per each 24 hours. And those are old numbers, so that number went up. Now, if they had used Samson, our weapon detector, in an instant, they would have been able to detect the alert and have their security team contain the anomaly at the airport. So using security cameras, we provide real-time alerts through AI for gun detection and firearm detection. In a nutshell, this is what we do. And we're very proud to have our R&D in Israel and our headquarters in the US.
Thanks for sharing that. And I want to get into the R&D, right?
Yes, sure.
But if anyone's listening, if someone's listening, they're thinking, okay, who do we have to talk to? Who should we get this in their hands today?
Mhm.
And I know, when you were talking about the pricing, it varies across organizations, but you can kind of give a ballpark of what we're talking about a little bit.
It's $100 per camera per month. It's a monthly recurring fee. Let's assume you're a school, private school. You have 100 cameras. You don't need weapon detections on 100 cameras. Let me reassure you. I come from Hollywood. All right. I know a lot about camera angles. I worked for Apple for 10 years. I know how this works. I used to handle $1 million movie cameras, and now I'm behind a $200, $300 security camera. It's a walk in the park for us. So you have nerve points at the entrances of schools or high-end jewelry stores. This is where you need to put Samson. So per site, it could go from 5 cameras to 20 cameras. Usually it's a ratio of 4 or 5 to 1. If you have a school with 100 cameras, you probably need Samson on 20 cameras. It's $100 a month per license, per camera. And what we do is when there's an alert, now we work with an alarm center in America called BOS Security. So the alert goes to them, they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, it's an alert. They press yes on the UI, and all the first responders that you have defined, the school, the PD, the super, they get the info on their smartphones. The response time in our live exercise that we have done in Oslo, Uvalde response time was 2 hours, 120 minutes, 2 hours, 374 cops, 17 or 19 deaths. Oslo response time under 2 minutes, 0 casualties. That's how effective this is. That's it.
Let's talk about some use cases, right? So who do we get this in the hands of? You mentioned universities, right?
Yeah.
So
private universities. Yeah.
So who at universities makes these types of decisions?
So remember, operations need to be changed. So usually the head of security is going to be a little bit lenient. So this is where we come in and we work with them. We say, hey, that's an AI. How would you like to receive the alerts? But the people, the most important people at the university are the head of the university, but the board members, especially in private universities, because a lot of them, they're the ones that are cutting checks for the university. So board members in private universities, board members in private schools, parents, and of course, jewelry stores. In Paris, what was it? 24 days ago, Piaget, which is a Swiss brand like me, was robbed in plain day sight. 12 million euros robbed. Bulgari in Place Vendôme. 3 guys entered the store with Kalashnikov on a Saturday afternoon, and they robbed for 12 million euros. And 6 months before that, or a year before that, the same store was robbed again. And so the store managers in high-end jewelry stores, they want our product. Head of security wants it. It's a management. They're behaving like, oh, it's okay. Our insurance is paying back the 12 million euros. Don't worry. But what they didn't get until last year is right now, no one's going to shop at Bulgari in Paris or at Piaget in Paris, because the probability of being at Bulgari Paris on a Saturday afternoon and being involved in an armed robbery is 2.08%. I'm not putting my feet there. It's all about probability. You know, would you fly if you know that there's a 2% chance that the plane's going to crash? Probably not. Right?
Yeah, it's not just about money. It's safety of people.
The owners, store owners, shareholders, you know, like if you care about it, just those are the people that we need to be able to reach out. The Federation as well, the Jewish Federation. I love to accentuate those moments because I said I'm going to say the truth on that interview. You know, a SaaS is not always made a software company of sunshines and rainbows. You talk to the head of security at the Federation and he tells you, you got to talk to my FBI guy. Oh yeah? What are you going to do when you're going to have a shooting? You knew about the system. You know about it, Evan. You know about it, but you don't do anything. It's exactly the same reaction we had in Oslo at the beginning. It was very hard for them to move forward. We got paid. They were holding the data. And at a certain point, we told them, you know what? I'm done. You're the one that had 200 people wounded. You're the one that had 67 children shot to death. Now, if the press calls me, I will tell them that you know about our system. You received the offer and it was paid to be installed and you don't want to install it. It's on you. It's not on me. In Los Angeles last week on Shabbat, from Friday night till Saturday night, somewhere along that time frame, most kosher restaurants were burglared. Now, you're going to tell me if you have a high-end jewelry store in Los Angeles on that street or a private school, if you're going to disregard that, knowing in the last 18 months, there has been more than 2,000 shootings in schools, US schools. I'm not talking about mass shootings. I'm talking about school shootings, someone putting out a gun. So the responsibility is not on me. The responsibility is on the parents to put pressure on the teachers. Now, we have all those maps, interactive maps on our website. If you click, let's say,
if you're by the way, if you're listening to the audio, there is a video screen share where we're showing on their site, AiLert, AI-lert.com. You can see they have mass shooting.
Click on Italy. Click on the Italian map. That's an exciting one. That one, because you can see the map of Italy. There are so many. Yeah, there you go. The shootings that happen in Italy, they're defining the Italian map. On our shooting maps, what you don't want to see are the dark purple dots. That means like a shooting that involve at least a death and at least a wounded person. The blue ones are just, there were no, a gun was pulled out, but no wounded, nothing. So you can wonder.
And then when you click on it, you can actually see
the link.
Yeah.
See the source. You see the source of the shooting.
Wow, that's crazy.
So data just speaks, you know, it just speaks. So to who do we have to reach for? You know, if you want to be safe, if you have a jewelry store, if you're leading a school, those are the people that we're trying to reach out. Those are the school shootings in the US since for the last 18 months, you see. So it's like an insurance policy, you know.
So what convinces someone like that, like Oslo? Is it just that the conversation to go, listen, let's just get this implemented, or what's holding them back? What's holding them back?
It was at first, it was not knowing each other. So we learned with them, let's change the operation. That was a fantastic experience. With our customers in Greece, the security company was like, let's get the product. We have a client that had a massive robbery in their store. Okay, so they told the brand, we'll disclose. The brand was like, no, we don't need it. Until a second robbery happened again in their store. And then they're like, you know what? I think we need it. Not only because we're going to alert the cops in real time. No. They want it because their employees, they feel safe. When we installed it at Rolex, Rolex, I'm Swiss, Rolex is a Swiss brand. When we installed it at the Rolex store, the employee came to me, the security agent, and he hugged me. And he say, thank you, because I thought I was going to die when we got robbed a few months ago. And so that's a great feeling to have when you feel like you can really help the people. What we don't do, we don't cover like 1,000 cameras. It doesn't work like this. AI is sensitive. If you deploy AI on a certain site, you need computing power. That's the problem. That's the thing. So we're very fortunate to have wonderful partners in America and Switzerland. Our investors, I need to name like Constantine, Pierre B, Vito. Those guys are the cores that invested. Also, Philippe Boisy, co-founder at Deal and owner of the fund Sarona VC. He's the guy that made it happen together with Shani Tut, who's CEO at Sarona VC, and my first advisory board member of an Oz, who raised, I think, 60 or 70 million in the last 2 years for Common Ground AI. So you see, it's a small family. And I want to talk a little bit about SaaS, running a software company. People think it's amazing. It's not. Today was a day where, what can I say? We pushed new UI, everything works. That was great. And our AI is just a fantastic guy. But one of our employees just fucked up graciously, but really graciously. And I really got pissed. I was having lunch in Tel Aviv. I got the message. I couldn't finish my plate. Our CTO was pulling his hair, wanted to just crucify the guy. Then they increase our rent to almost 20,000 shekels where we are. So we decided to go, actually, it's over there. And we're going to pay half the price for a better space. And so running a company is not easy. It's hard. And you always have to deal with, there's always like someone that will be jealous, someone that will try to put you down. And we're not like that. And we take deals, we take good deals. And I live by two mottos. How I built this company, one of them that helped me a lot was Simon Sinek, about your why and explain why you do it, why you do something. And also what helped me a lot was also when you have big decisions to take. It was like the Rock when he gave his speech to the Los Angeles Lakers. He said, when you have big decisions, when someone's putting in front of you checks for a few $100,000 and the terms might not be the best, just remember where you were 5 years ago, and take the deal. It's true, when I launched the company, I ran out of cash. I ran out of food. I had kids. The school of my kids, they started to give us food. Friends started to help. So I really know what it means when friends and family kick in. This is what it means. Friends and family. They're not going to cut you checks. They'll be there for you. And then Nimrod Vromen, I was going to leave Israel one day because I said, that's it. I can't. I don't have money. I don't have nothing. And he told me, no, you go to the bank, you get a loan, and you bring me the paperwork. So you see, when you have those people surrounding yourself so that you can start to succeed, you're unstoppable. We might not have $10 million for marketing, but I'm very good at filmmaking. So when we started to do a little TikTok videos, I do them before I go to bed, I do some stuff. We post online. We use a lot of generative AI. to post, because on LinkedIn it was super hard. Find a photo of kids with a security guard in the school. Impossible. And then get copyrights and this. We started to use generative AI and say, okay, put me 2 kids with a security guard in a happy school. Boom, you got it. What did we just do earlier? I'll share that. That was fun. Kudos to my friend Gil Perry. We were together at the Tel Aviv University Accelerator. He's the founder of DID, one of the founders. They do generative AI, and we use their tool a lot for our marketing, for SaaS, for what we do. So today we're using all the tools we can in order to promote our company. Look, I'm going to share my screen again. This is going to be something crazy that probably not a lot of founders are trying to show. This is like the DID Studio, what we use. And for instance, we had to do an explainer video for our distributor in Mexico. So then you will see me like here speaking Mexican with our instructions.
Es un sistema de inteligencia artificial que detecta armas de fuego usando cámara.
Yeah, or you can hear me in French, right? It's going to come up right here.
Samson est une intelligence artificielle qui détecte les armes.
We have it in Greek, and using generative AI, what we've done today was this. I think it's hilarious.
I am Samson, the artificial intelligence that detects weapons.
So then we took this, we posted it on LinkedIn. I mean, we're trying to catch a vibe because we're into AI. So why not promoting your company with AI content? Why not serve this wave? And that's where we're different. That's where we're out of the box. We're not a bunch of jarheads, even though some Navy SEALs are some of our investors. But we care. I have kids. Everybody has kids there. I've been in a shooting once when I was in LA, in an alley. It's scary. And so if you can help the people putting the feeling to bed of all my kids going to be safe in my school. If you can put this feeling to bed, then AiLert can do it with Samson. It's always on, it's elegant, it's non-invasive. And guess what? A bunch of people for the tech, they will tell you, well, it detects the gun, but when the gun is out, it's pointless. Well, no gunshot was ever shot at Bulgari, at Piaget robbery, at the Rolex robberies, at the robberies you have at the gas station. The guy walks in, he doesn't want to shoot you. He just wants your money. So we detect before the first shot is fired. And most of the time, no shots are fired.
And the people get away to do it again.
Yeah. Until we catch.
So we talked.
We had our first catch, a real catch. And that was an explosion in Euphoria. That was in May. And we were super happy to be able to detect a real gun in an outdoor environment. And we had no clue that we thought it was an exercise. People were like, no, that was a real instance. So when you catch this, you know that we're good at what we do. And that's who we are.
So Joe, I see gas stations, large US agencies, universities, schools, jewelry shops, anyone, really anywhere, right? That wants to really focus on safety. There was there's some companies that may think, oh, well, I have some measures in place already, right? I don't need this. There was a case in a private school in Florida.
Yeah, sure.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So you bring your kids to school, right? Where I grew up, there were no security guards. It was safe. And today you have the shooting drills, you have the metal detectors, you have the retired armed security guards. That is not a way for our children to be nurtured in a school. It's time to bring our schools to what they should be. A school should be a school. And when you have an elegant system that's in place, it's much better than having a fortress, turn a school into a fortress, because that has a huge impact on the children's education. I've spoken to a mother, her son is 7 or 8 year old in America. I'm sorry, I forgot which school shooting. He heard the shooting, he hid in the toilet. Instead, the kid has problem, to go to school and to go to the toilet. He's afraid to see the security guard. For instance, us Jews, private schools, we always have a security guard, but they're cool, meaning we grew up with them. If you go to a Jewish school in Switzerland, or if you go to a Jewish school in Paris, you're going to have the armed security guard. But they're dressed like you, me, anybody. They're there for years, and they know the parents, and they're there as a way of preventing. But the instant you put a guy in a uniform, he has a gun, metal detector, that's no good. That's not a school.
What happened in the private school in Florida you were telling me a little bit about before we hit record, where they thought they had some measures in place?
They were using the tool of our competitor. And they had crash after crash, hundreds of false positives per day. And today at Rolex, in a few stores, we had 2 false positives, So that's a very, very good, what we call F1. And when you install an artificial intelligence, it's great. But coming from Israel, they told us not more than 1 false positive per day. If you do more than 1, we'll turn off your system. So we were very keen in producing something extremely precise that took years to build. So the security measures in Florida were, let's connect all the cameras, 120 cameras, to the cloud. It's as if you're constantly emailing 120 people about 20 photos shot from your iPhone by an email. You're going to kill the bandwidth. And after a while, your switch is going to go crazy and it's going to say, I have too much. I can't. And so our approach was different. We process on the edge, on the location. And we really care about the AI. And the way we train it is somewhere unique. I come from Hollywood with an Oscar nomination, so I know a lot more about image processing than someone that woke up a morning who might be very good with weapons. I agree, Navy SEAL, but he doesn't know a lot in image processing. And my years at Apple allowed me to extrapolate this expertise together with the knowledge of being able to work with parents and head of security and the board. So when you have when you have security measures and the system doesn't work, well, it sucks. And with us, with Rolex, the most exclusive brand in the world, they chose us because they wanted the highest quality possible. And we're making it at a cheaper price than our competitor. But right now, people have to start to wait. We have a few deployments coming up. And finally, we feel soon, by Q1, Q2 2024, we'll be able to break even.
Talk about R&D lab. You were saying some weapons were held up that didn't get to you because people are wondering what you're doing in your company.
Yeah. In Israel, and I'm staying in our lab, actually. I turn off the lights so that it's cool. I wanted to show some guns, but they're somewhere else because the boys have been doing some tests. I call them the boys. It's the whole R&D team. And, when you want to R&D a weapon detector, you need weapons. And in Israel, it's a very sensitive area because every 20 person or every 30 person, I don't remember what the ratio is where we are at here today, they carry guns. So you can't walk around and brandish a gun. Yet we had ordered some assault rifles for training purposes, and they've been held up at the Meches, at the customs. They wanted to know who's stupid enough to order that. But we wrote a letter. We said, this is for R&D purposes. We need those. When you have a lot of soldiers on the streets, I'm like, hey, come on, I'll give you $100. You come to our lab and we can use your gun. And they're like, no. So, you got to be creative. And our R&D lab is also, we have a way, like, as a startup, it's very fun if you could buy like the latest AI server from NVIDIA. I would love to have one, a DGX, but it costs like $200,000. I can't take that cash and say, oh yeah, we're going to buy that. So what we did is all the machines we have in our office, we build them ourselves, all of them. Because when I remember like in university, I wanted a computer. My dad ordered me the parts. I'm like, yeah, you're going to get it. And one day I was in New York, FedEx brought in all those parts. I'm like, yeah, I got a bunch of parts. He's like, build it. So I learned how to build a machine. So I taught the team, and we have one of the best computer builders in Israel. He used to build satellite for the French military. He's now here. He's one of the top wedding photographers. You see what a pivot in his career. And he builds crazy machines. And when we decided to build our machine that includes like A100 GPUs from NVIDIA, they're the most expensive and most powerful in the world. NVIDIA told us, it won't work. You can't do it. But on our team, we have crazy guys who love the challenge, and they made it work. We even have a guy that came in. He's an air conditioner expert for industrial areas. And so he built a mini AC for one of our servers. And the temperature that we have in our machines are actually lower than the ones that NVIDIA is selling. So we told NVIDIA about it. And they're like, cool, buy one from us. Yeah. We're like, well, it's coming.
We'll exchange. You give me one of yours, we give you one of ours. We'll give you the air conditioning unit. You give us the unit.
That'd be fun.
So talk about the R&D process. So you have the gun. What happens?
The R&D process, like in making the AI or in testing the AI?
Testing. Yeah, testing the AI.
Okay. So let's say you're
making the AI is way above my pay grade. So I figure we'll go with testing the AI.
The way we work is like this. This is when we learned it the administrative way with the European Commission, something that I learned a lot from Mr. Joe Gorman. Hi, Joe. You have to plan ahead. And when you implement AI systems, what you have to do is anybody can go to a school and say, yeah, I've installed the system. No, what we do, we install the system. We make sure the alarms will go to the right people, to the relevant people. And after that, we do a drill where we sit down with law enforcement, head of security, and then we tell them that's what we've done in this school. That's what we've done with this law enforcement agency. What do you think? Once this is done, we do what we call a live exercise where we have a set date. People pull out guns and assault rifles, and then they see it working. And then we ask them, are you happy? And they're like, yes. And then we sign off. That's how we work.
It's amazing. I just, it's really remarkable, Joe, because there's so many use cases for this. Like, and I want to talk about the VR piece. Like, you have a VR background, and there's, I know I'd love for you to talk about how VR has influenced this piece. But like, I don't know. I just think of Ring doorbell, right? Like,
Of course.
Ring doorbell bought a license and allowed every single Ring camera
Weapon detection.
all over the US. Like, now it becomes in every household, even, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm curious, what do you see? I know right now this is what you're deploying, but what do you see as just a much bigger opportunity? Like, even on the phone, like, people have it on their phone, they have an app, they pay whatever, $1 a month, and they have it. They could go into and just hold it up. Like, it's frightening. Like, I was telling you before we record, like, a mass shooting happened in my hometown, right? Yeah. You think every time you go into a public place now, even before, because we've heard all these things, but when it hits you at home, it's like, would I hold up my phone in every single place that I'm at to see what's going on? So I'm curious, what do you see as, what's the bigger opportunity? I mean, now there's just things.
Right now, we're using the edge. We're very good at it. On the edge, it means, like, when you have a security camera, that's called on the edge, because it's connected to your modem and it's on the edge. You have your modem and then you have a camera, it's on the edge. I have Alexa speaker, it's on the edge. So our software is installed on the edge. What we want to do is all the Ring camera owners, you just launch your app, say you want weapon detection, yes, click, and it's done. That's it. Today, we work with a subsidiary of large security companies in Switzerland. And still, for them, AI, they want the alarms to go directly to the police. And you tell them, that's illegal, buddy. The AI Act prevents you from doing this. They're like, why? I say, okay, let's go. You know what? Let's change the parameters a little bit. Let's pivot the thing. Let's go. Let's say you go to the hospital and you have an X-ray, and an AI says, I think there's a beginning of a cancer there. Boom, chemotherapy. Would you want that? It's like, no, I want a doctor to check it. I'm like, exactly. That's the same point. You want a human to check it. So, coming back to the US and the big picture, there's soon going to be more cameras than people in America. 10 times more cameras than you have cell phones in a household. No one can watch all those feeds. And you're going to have AIs that detect dogs, cats, facial recognition, absolutely not. That's highly illegal unless it's in an airport or it's really needed. You're going to have a bunch of different algorithms. But guess what? It is against the law to analyze people's behavior. It's an infringement to their data privacy. It is against the law to scan the people. It's against. Like, if you put metal detectors not in the school, but in your store, it's against the law. The only very smart guy that went around it, he's a shoe designer, Christian Louboutin. You know, those black shoes with the red sole that top models like to wear. They're €1,000 a shoe. If you buy
fashion, I will not. You ask me about fashion, I will have no idea.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
so even from like Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, he wears Christian Louboutin shoes. It has all the spikes. If he walks tomorrow at Christian Louboutin in Abu Dhabi, they will know exactly what shoe size he's wearing and what are the shoes that he bought. Because on the bottom of the shoe Louboutin, you have an RFID that is being scanned at the entrance of every Christian Louboutin store. And even the customers, they love it because at least they know what I'm wearing, what I liked, and they're not going to bother me. What shoe size you wearing? Now, with AI, it's extremely complex to be able to move data from the camera to be processed to the law enforcement agencies. You have to be compliant, and you have hundreds of parameters, hundreds of rules that you have to observe. And that is why when you do this, you have a great burn rate in data privacy compliance. Because if you get caught, like Facebook got caught and Meta got caught infringing GDPR in Europe, they paid in the last 6 months or a year about 2 or 1.7 billion euros in tickets for infringing on data privacy. We don't want to get there. But if you're a startup and you start to build AI and you deploy it and it's not up to the standards, you're gone. Clear Vision in New York, they got fined because they have a facial recognition. They probably use your face. Probably they scrap your Facebook or your LinkedIn and they use your face and you don't even know about it. Law enforcement agencies found out, and the European Commission fined them an initial $20 million, then France 20 million, then Italy 5 million, and that's only 3 countries in the EU. They're probably going to end up paying a few $100 million in data privacy infringement fines, but they don't care because they make billions. But soon what's going to happen is those legislation will say and point out to you as, oh, they're the Pablo Escobar of AI. It's a dangerous AI. And if you use it, you will be fined. That's the next level of data privacy infringement. So it's coming to an end game. If you don't comply to the rules, even if you make a lot of money, they're going to get at you. They're going to get to you, compliances. And we struggled a lot to make it happen. That's what the European Commission told us. We want to implement AI, gun detection. We want you to analyze the people in public spaces, and we want you to make it compliant to the strictest data privacy laws. And I learned that after we got into the project, and I was like, okay, how can we do that? And they're like, we don't know. That's why we hired you. And so it got a bunch of, we had to be very creative, and my background in filmmaking helped a lot, and thinking out of the box as well. So when you buy AiLert, you're not buying just an AI. You're buying brain power from a lot of people that put a lot of sweat into it for years and years, and it just works.
Joe, I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Before I ask it, it's not going to be like a short question, but before I ask it, I just want to encourage people to check out AiLert.com, AI-LERT.com to learn more. And if something hit home for you here, share it with someone, who, it could be a parent, it could be a business owner, it could be anyone you think that you should get this in their hands. And so last question, Joe, is, it really takes a village, right? There's so many things and people that need to happen. And there's people out there that can help the mission that you have, right? Yeah. So who are some of those people, companies, partners that we need to get this message to? You've mentioned a couple of companies like NVIDIA, is one. Who are some other people or companies that should check out what you're doing?
After the Uvalde shooting, who's from Uvalde? It's Matthew McConaughey. And he was very touched about what happened. And Matthew, we're right here. We could
Matthew
work.
McConaughey, the actor, you mean? Okay.
The actor. People want to make a change. People want to make stop this plague of shootings in the US. Kenny Reeves, you've been in John Wick. We'd love to work with you and promoting our products and even donating the profits of our product really to make the school safer. The Rock, he's been an inspiration to a lot of our people in the company. And yes, it takes a village, but it also takes a podcast probably like yours to reach out to those people. I've tried in different ways. There's also someone that many people say I have to talk to him. Palmer Luckey, the inventor of the Oculus Rift and founder at Unreal Technologies, would love what we do. We need your help, guys. We need your help to make our communities and our schools safer. This is what we need. And when you hear founders saying, I'm ready to split the costs, I'm ready to donate this to schools who need it in Uvalde, I'm still astonished that we haven't heard of any weapon detection system installed in all those counties. The time is now. It's not when your children will be shot to death. And that's the plain reality. I'm sorry, it's horrible to speak like this, and the more people are getting broke, the worse the recession is going to get, the more people will go and rob stores for food, for anything. And we all want to feel safe, knowing that something is actually looking at those cameras and alerting law enforcement in case of a weapon being detected. A firearm, because we don't do knives. Okay.
Joe, I'm going to be the first one to thank you. Check out AI-LERT.com. Is there anything else, any other places we should point people online to check out more, or anything else that we haven't talked about?
There's a phone number on the website where it says call. If you click, it rings at our CRO's office. Adam will pick up. You can also connect with us on our website. There's a support tab where a few guys we're getting right away using Zendesk your queries, and our LinkedIn page as well. We're not on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and we're also using TikTok for some promotional videos that are crazy. But this is where you should reach that. On our website, click the Call Now button or the support page, or on our LinkedIn page. Just type in AiLert in LinkedIn, AiLert in LinkedIn, and you'll see us.
I want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for everything you do. Check out their website, and we'll see everyone next time. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I feel like $100 grand.